is Ruel's Running Podcast, a podcast about running, health, family, play, and an NSNG lifestyle. And now, here's your host, Ruel.
Excuse me as I rock on. That's Went Away by Dorothy Lane. Dorothy Lane out of Martinez, California. That's out of the Cut and Dry album. Check them out at dorothylanemusic.com. Yeah. Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. This is Ruel. It's 6:17 in the morning on a Sunday. It's the Ohlone 50k. I am as ready as I'm gonna be. I'm prepared with all of my nutrition and my running gear and my layers. You know, I've got with a Vaseline up my crack with Band-Aids over my nipples. I'm ready to do this thing. Yeah. Right now, there's a break from the rain, but it clearly rained overnight. It's reading 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and the sun has risen about 15 minutes ago, and it's looking good, looking beautiful, and ready to suffer, ready to enjoy and suffer all at the same time. This is cool. It's like a celebration. I don't know. That's what it feels like. I've been tracking the race organization and the team, the directors and the co-directors and all those guys and the volunteers, watching them post updates and pictures, and there's a new there's an alternate course this year, so it's going to be a different thing from last year. But watching the prep online and watching views from the course marking team, it's going to look good out there. Burp as I process the morning's coffee and heavy cream. Yep. So we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna spend the day here. I'll catch you with an update. All right, I'm out. All right. I've checked in. I'm at the Sunol Regional Wilderness, and I got to meet Anil, who is friends with my wife, worked with my wife, and we've been friends on Facebook for a little bit, so he's been able to, I guess, see stuff that I post. I see stuff that he posts, running related or not. He's not running today, but he is taking photos in the morning. He's cool guy, and appreciate having to meet him finally. Met up with Chiping. He's like, hey, you ran this last year, right? Yeah, so I'm back, even though it's a different course. He's he knows that it's tough, and he doesn't try and encourage people to he doesn't, it sounded like he said he doesn't persuade people, or they try not to persuade people to take it on because it is a challenge. So in a way, the individual has to decide for themselves if they want to take on the challenge. And here I am again. Completely different course. It's about 15 to 16 miles of a loop within the Sonoma Wilderness. There's going to be 2 loops and a bunch of cutoffs during the second loop. It's pouring right now. It's 7:14 in the morning. There's an 8 a.m. start. There was initially an early start. I didn't opt for that, regardless. But I think with this course change, I think they're not having an early start. Although they say if you want to start early, you can. But I'm all for participating in the start with a bunch of folks. It just feels official, and it feels like, okay, there's a thing here. I'm not familiar with the trail, so I also need the group as sort of guidance that we're all in it together. If I were to head out now, I would feel almost like I'm just doing a solo, non-event run, which right now I'm not mentally prepared for. I'm mentally prepared for starting off officially with all the other participants, and then it'll thin out. It'll thin out, and I'll still be by myself. I'll eventually be by myself, but it's I think mentally it's different. At some point, I'm sure either way, it'll just won't even make a difference how it all started. But that's just how I feel about it right now. Got my bib number. I'm 144. Anil showed me how to fold it up nice and compact. Because I was just going to do what I usually do. Fold the top back, fold the bottom back, and leave this nice long strip. But he folded it down all the way to where the only thing that's showing is the number. And that's cool. There's less snaggage, I guess, and rippage. He said he watched Western States finisher complete he saw how she had her number super tightly folded, compact, so only where the number was showing, and he was like, oh, that's cool. So then as I stood with him this morning putting on my bib number, he took my bib number and folded it down, and I'm like, whoa, that makes total sense. I got my bib number, and the volunteer that was handing him out, she's like, 144. I hope that's not your age. I'm like, I don't know what to say about that. And then someone else said, and that's certainly not his IQ. I was like, I'm not sharp this morning. I only had just enough coffee to be level, but I don't have my wits with me. So I just said, I don't know what to say about that. Yeah. I don't know if you can hear the rain through the recorder, but it is dumping. I wanted to hang out, by the canopies, under the canopies with the check-in table and stuff. They have coffee. They have Starbucks coffee. They have a bunch of carry-out coffees, some dark and some pike, and so that's greatly appreciated. I didn't take any coffee with me on the road. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I want to be out there, but a lot of people are just going to hang out in their own vehicles and, with the heat on and stay dry. As I hung out there earlier, I was just starting to get soaked. I'm like, man, this isn't good. I don't want to start super cold. Yeah. I have my pack all set beside me. My pack's kind of filthy. The front pockets of the vest are pretty filthy. I didn't clean the thing out since February's Lake Chabot Shabo run. I did clean my poles because my poles had caked on mud on the handles, along the shaft, and definitely by the tips. So I spent a good time last night just kind of running through that in the bathtub, cleaning it out as best as possible. But I'm not the only one with poles for this one. I saw a gal with her poles at the picnic table getting herself all in order. I don't know. People are saying, at least Anil was saying that this one's going to be easy. I was like, I don't know about easy. I didn't train for squat, right? Mentally, I'm prepared. Physically, we'll see how it goes. I'm going to ride this thing and see where it takes me. I sure wish it wasn't dumping as much as it is right now. Just, I want to kind of hang out with registration, but man, wet and cold, and I'd have to hike over there with my pack because I don't want to make a second trip to the vehicle to fetch it. Even if I went now, I'd have to take an umbrella. Then I'd have to figure out what to do with the umbrella, which I might have to do anyways. I don't know. Lame. This is a junky umbrella. Maybe I'll just leave it at a what do you call it? A drop bag area. Who put an umbrella as a drop bag? What an idiot. So, for the listener, I guess I'll run through what I packed. So last night, what I packed is the traditional stuff. I have a tub of Generation UCAN Superstarch, the plane. So I had that set aside. I also have some raw almonds set aside. I have 4 meat bars. 2 I'm taking with me on my person, and 2 I'm leaving, I guess, in the truck. I don't know why I brought it. I thought that I'd leave a drop bag, but I didn't label my drop bag, and there's a good chance that people are going to have the same drop bag because it's a drop bag that we got as swag last year, and I don't know. And people are going to take my drop bag and go home with it, and they're going to be like, whose stuff is this? But so yeah, the Generation UCAN Superstarch, some raw almonds, some meat bars. They're the epic bars. I got the beef, and I got the turkey. I also got the what worked for me earlier in February. I really enjoyed were these packets of almond butter and coconut oil blend. What are they called? They're made by Pro Bar. Yeah, everyone's doing the F-bomb, drop the F-bomb stuff. I haven't picked up any. I'd love to try some, but I don't go out of my way for a particular brand if I can find something suitable, a suitable alternative. So I got two of the coconut oil almond butter blend packets on me, 2 meat bar packets on me, 2 meat bars on me. I have about 10 Pure Vitamin Club Ultra Salts in a Ziploc baggie. That's on me. I've got I've got the almonds on me. In a water bottle, I think I have like 4 scoops of the Generation UCAN Superstarch. The packet, the tub, the packaging says 3 scoops if you're doing 3+ hours, right? Because it's like 1 scoop for an hour of activity, 2 scoops for 2 hours of activity, 3 scoops for 3+ hours of activity. I'm gonna be here for, based on last year, 10 hours. So I put 4 scoops, and in a single bottle, so it's hyper concentrated. So the idea is I'll take a little hit of that, squirt of that, and then I'll get some additional fluid from my Hydro Pack. Yeah, that's what I got as far as nutrition. Did the morning coffee with a splash of heavy cream. Need to get up early enough to get that coffee made in me, so that I can wake up and so I can get a good morning poop going, and that's taken care of. But now I've just overdone it with the coffee. I went and took a leak just I don't know, 15 minutes ago. Now I'm like starting to feel that urge again, and it would be, so far it's two pisses since I got here. There's something amazing about going into a porta potty and it had just been like refreshed and recharged, or whatever you want to call it, like to be the first to, at least it feels like the first to, oh man, I walked in there and I almost lost control of my phone. I had it in a pocket on my jacket, and as I just sort of lifted my jacket to, get ready to take a piss, my phone started to creep out of the pocket. I'm like, ooh, that would not be a good thing. See your phone fall into the porta potty. I mean, like I said, it seems to be refreshed and recharged, so you don't see like clumps of stuff down there, just like this darkness and liquid. It's like I don't know, what color is that stuff? It's like blue, dark blue, whatever. But yeah, it's like tuck my phone away somewhere really safe. I mean, what would you do if your phone fell in a porta potty? Would you fish it out? Even if it was like a super super reset, cleaned out porta potty, but it's still that liquid, that dark blue, purpley, I don't know, liquid. Would you fish out your phone? Or would you be like, F it, I ain't touching that, forget it? Who knows what kind of disease may be in there or not. Just, what would you do? Yeah, disgusting. Lonnie, what would you do? I don't know when this will be released, but definitely it'll be after the event. I think I have maybe one or two other recordings that I've yet to put together to release. So what's going to happen, like last time, I'll release an episode, then the next day I'll release another episode, then the next day I'll release another episode, and then sort of like disappear for a while, then I'll sort of do the same thing. Maybe. I say that now, and then it'll just change. Let's see. 7:27. A little over a half hour till start. But I think they like to get guys kind of excited 5-10 minutes before the actual start. And the start's not that it hasn't been, it's based on last year, it's not a big deal. It's sort of like runners, glad you're here, thanks for being here, have fun out there, remember you're going to be doing the course this way, look for this color ribbons and blah blah blah, okay, go. That. Then a few like woo, and just people just sort of just kind of trudge along. Yeah, man, I gotta pee again. Holy moly. It's cold and it's wet, and I've been sucking on coffee. So what else have I got going on? I'm wearing two pairs of socks this time around. I usually wear the Injinji toe socks. That's just sort of been traditional for me. I started out believing that it helped prevent blisters and stuff, around my toes. I don't know if that's true, but I do it anyways because it seems to work. But this time around, I got a pair of calf-high socks to act as a little bit of compression and a little bit of a protection from, from stuff. Like if I were to brush up against some tall, growth plants, plants and weeds and whatnot, and grass. Also as a level of, keep me warm when I'm cold and keep me cool when I'm hot, type of stuff. It's purple. It's got like a bandana sort of print on it, and it's purple with a... I can't see the purple, but, the guy that sold me it said it was purple. So then my eyes are convinced that it's purple, so then now I see it, but I don't, I take people's word for it that it's purple. It's kind of like a tie-dye purple, but then it's got like the black kind of pattern of what would be like a bandana, sort of paisley sort of design. Looks horrible on me. But I don't care. And got my gaiters on, wearing the Ohlone Peaks that I decided consciously on last February to not wear because they're half size small. So I'm wearing them this time around because last February I made the mistake of using the pair of shoes that had the least amount of luggage, or traction, and I paid the price. Tons of falling despite having poles. So I'm wearing the ones that have the better traction this time around, and I think I'm good as far as fit. I think I was an idiot last time, so hopefully I'm less of an idiot this time. I'm wearing the Ohlone Wilderness 50k trail run shirt I got last year. It's a small, so it's almost snug on me. And got my arm sleeves, got a light jacket. It's not going to keep me warm, but I'll heat up as I move along. And my filthy pack, a single water bottle, a filled hydro bladder. Got my poles stuck to the vest, and I have my iPod Shuffle. Did not make any changes since February. I got the same audiobook. Christopher McDougall's something heroes, blah, blah, blah. Not the Born to Run one, but the other one. I've got a handful of podcasts, not a ton, just enough. I think I got 3 or 4 from 10 Junk Miles, and then I don't even know what else the other episodes, what the other ones are. I think there are 3 or 4 from maybe Fitness Confidential, maybe, I don't know. So some old stuff. Then a bunch of songs that I've always had. I did delete about 8 or 10 songs, from U2. Sorry, U2. It's there was a time when U2 gave out an album, right? It's that one album with it looks like a young dude being caressed by, it looks like the drummer of U2, like they're nude and stuff, and they've got that track called what is it, Run or Saved by Wolves or something like that. And so I enjoyed the album, but I had to delete a bunch of them. It was a free album that back in the day U2 gave out, and it's nice that you got something free, but I know there was a handful of the iTunes customers that were like, I just got preloaded with this album, I didn't want this garbage. Right? So it's like, now I gotta figure out how to like prevent it from constantly showing up on my playlist and stuff. So I removed a bunch because I didn't care for it when I was out on the run, and it took me till up to this point to actually decide, yeah, I gotta remove some of those tracks. I don't care to listen to them. I kept one song. Whether or not I'll start listening, I don't know. I play it by ear. Sometimes I just like, I take in the scenery, the trail without any sort of thing in my ear. And sometimes I'll just do it. But the last run I did worked out. But this will be fun. I need to soak it all in. It's going to be fun. It's a privilege to be out on the trail like this, to have the time away to spend the day doing this stuff. And it's not like I'm going to be taking it easy. It's going to be work. But that's what I signed up for. God, I still need to take a piss. Yep, I haven't gone since I said it last. 7:35. I think I'm gonna go take that piss, and then I think I'm gonna go head out to the starting area or the check-in area, and just be a part of the pre-race activities. Man, it's cold. Damn. All right, I'll check back when I'm done. Let you know how it went. So, the Ohlone Wilderness 50k Trail Run 2019. Brr. All right. Hey everybody, it's 8:13. I finished the event some time ago. I went home. I'm on my way home, but I had to work to finish that event. Hit the last aid station. They said you got 25 minutes to hit 2 miles, and it's not. There's some downhills, but there's some rolling, and it's like it's when you've been pounding it out for 29 miles, and climbing and descents and a ton of mud. I even had to go way off course around some wilderness hazards, if you will, like some streams that are shooting off the side of a hill, cliff, and down into a stream, some down trees. I had to go way around off course to avoid a shit ton of cows. I mean, it's like a standoff. I mean, and I was outnumbered. And so, anyways, I had to work really hard. The cows were going to prevent me from getting to the finish line, and I had to go all the way around. It's funny. Not even 10 minutes into the run, I took a spill. My legs went left, because of all the mud. It just went out from under me, and I fell on my right hip, leg. And I used my right forearm to prevent my upper body from hitting the ground in all the mud. But I'll talk about it in a bit. I got to get home. I spent way too much time out, and there was no cell service in the wilderness, so I miss my family. So I'm gonna be with them. I need to get cleaned up real quick because I'm funky, like a stunky monkey, and then find some late night food. All right, catch you later. Hey everybody, I'm back. It is 8:19 in the morning after the Ohlone 50k. I woke up with a bit of congestion, just sort of like I can feel it like at the bottom of my throat, and every now and then I'll kind of hawk, a loogie. You can kind of hear it maybe bubbling out of under my throat as I talk. So I don't know what that's about. But yeah, still reflecting on the experience, and it really was a tough one for me. And I was looking at the results last night and this morning. I don't know. I it's nice to see myself in results. There are some races that I'm in where I don't meet cutoff, and I don't get the DNF, and which I don't mind getting the DNF. Without the DNF, then there's just like no existence. Like I didn't exist in the event, and I was part of the event. So whatever. But this event, if you DNF'd, if you DNS'd, you show up on the results page as such, and it makes sense. Yeah, last night was like get home. I was munching on a burger. So here's what happened. I had a chance after I finished, and finishing itself was an experience. Actually, like you could what's the terminology? You can smell the barn door. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it seemed like a really long 2 mile to the finish, from the last aid station to the finish. But man, as I was kind of trucking along, and I was trying to go as fast as possible, I was going whatever my running speed was at the time, and I was using my trekking poles like a skier, like a cross country skier, and I was using it intermittently to give myself more propulsion while still trying to maintain my running speed. And the last aid station will start. They rolled by, rolled past me, encouraged me on, and I just kept on, kind of digging my poles into the pavement. At this point, it's paved. It's a paved section towards the finish, because I'm at that point. I'm on a road and headed towards the park where the start finish is at. And then the ranger rolls by as well with supplies, the aid station supplies in his truck, and I'm just keep on pounding away. Then I cross a small bridge gate, and then I could see the park, and Mark Tanaka is there, right? He's encouraging me on, and he's talking to me. And I have one earbud on my right ear, listening to 10 Junk Miles. That's a funny thing. The whole experience, I was listening to episodes of 10 Junk Miles that I had saved back in February. So these were old episodes, but Scotty at 10 Junk Miles is right. Scotty and the gang, right? It's for runners who don't have somebody to run with, and listening to their podcast is like having somebody to run with. And I clung into that, especially at the later miles of this event, because I didn't want to pay attention too much about how much I was kind of suffering through. And I know that if I did have a companion with me, we would sort of bounce off discussion and get our mind off of things. So anyways, I'm just heading towards the finish. Mark Tanaka, he's talking to me. He's looking at, I don't know, stopwatch or something, right? And he's like, oh, he's telling me something along the lines of like, you're gonna finish. You're gonna become an official finisher, right? You're not gonna be, you're like you're DFL, but you're gonna be an official finisher. You just go, right? And I'm like, I pull my earbud out, or I put it on mute, pause to try and understand what he was saying. And I get like, I don't know, 4 feet in front of him, and I just screamed his name in front of his face. I'm like, Mark! mark. And I think I surprised the heck out of him, like I was out of my mind. And he's just like, go, go, go. And I'm like, and at that point, I'm kind of like, and I had crossed that section before because it's 2 loops. So this is my final, this is my finish. This is the second going at this section. And I'm like, but for some reason I was out of my mind. I couldn't think of where I was. I'm like, where do I go? Where do I go? Right? And then I'm like, okay, to the left, go. And then, and at this point I have my poles in my hand. I'm not using him. I'm just kind of keeping him gripped, both of them gripped in one hand. And I'm running through that small path to get towards the finish, and I see Chi Ping. And you know, Chi Ping means a lot to me as far as my experiences with all of these runs, because I've ran with him at times. He's inspired me, and with this particular event, he's, to me, I always feel like, you know, I'm welcome, or I have this privilege to be a part of something that I know he's put a lot of care into. You know, he's not the race director this year, but I think he's volunteered heavily, as he has sort of race directed it in the past. It's amazing. So to see him, and he was like yelling, like Ruel, he's yelling my name, and it's just, you know, there wasn't a big crowd, but you know, it didn't matter. It was like I was running, and after all these many hours, you know, in that really difficult course, you know, which I didn't train for squat, and I was getting to the finish, and I was like, wow, and I was getting a little bit of an adrenaline pump, and I was running, my legs I felt like I was going faster than ever, and then Chi Ping ran along with me, and we cut through the last remaining sections, and then he stopped to allow me to go through what the finishing chute was, and there was a photographer over there at the other end taking photos, and you know, I put my hands up like as if I won. It was a most amazing feeling. And then there was a wonderful gal who was like, "I have this for you." It was like the medal, right? Which isn't metal. It's a medal, but it wasn't made of metal. Then you know, she put it on. I'm like, "Thank you so much." And then there was a folding chair right next to where we were, and the photographer, I'm like, "Can I use that chair?" Because I just want to sit. You know, the results had me out 11 hours, 11 minutes, and some change. You know, compared to last year, I read a blog post that it was a longer 50k. It was a longer, maybe a mile, right? But compared to last year, I mean, this is a completely different course. It was a looped course, and it was tons of mud. But there were a couple of stream crossings, and it was so good to just walk right through that cold water and kind of give, not only wash all the caked on mud off of the shoes, but to give relief. I love that feeling, you know, just like kind of refreshing. But that's just like part of what happened and the experience, and I'm still trying to process and piece things in my mind. You know, I hiked with and ran with, you know, several folks that made it what it was for me, and we helped each other out, you know, finding runnable sections and kind of like leapfrogging our way and sort of pulling each other along, you know, as much as we could. It's incredible. You know, I got to the finish, and I sat down for several minutes. I was offered a cheeseburger that was, you know, on the grill, and I'm like, gladly, and went for something to drink. And I kind of fished around some of the aid station coolers and the finisher coolers, and I was like, there's stuff that I ordinarily wouldn't drink, but I'm like, it's like they say, after 31 miles, anything tastes great. So I'm like, screw it. I'll have this Diet Peach Snapple peach tea, which I haven't had in over a decade or even more. I don't drink that stuff anymore, but I needed something. And it was kind of a mistake because it was cold. It was ice cold, and it was already a cold. It was cold all day. I got hailed on, and some of the runners I was with got hailed on. And but I was like, I needed some liquid, and man, it sped up my getting colder and colder, and then the hot cheeseburger came in, and that kind of warmed me up a bit. Then I pounded some more cold beverage, and I got cold again, and then I got a second cheeseburger to go. I was offered some whiskey from the gal who was doing the grilling. The race director, Andres, pulled out a bottle of whiskey and was sharing some at that tail end of everything. And I was like, that sounds great, but I'm going to have some at home, which I didn't. I got home, I finished my cheeseburger on the drive, and I peeled as much of the gunk off of me and kept it in separate bags because I didn't want to make a mess out of what was already a mess of a truck. And right now, all of that caked on, muddy stuff is just sitting in a pile in the garage. But I got home and unloaded everything and took a hot shower, got a lot of the grime off. Felt great to be under that shower, but I needed to be as quick as possible. So you're thinking that I'm just going to take it easy, but I had to take a quick shower and get changed because I wanted to take the family out. At this point, it was already like 8:30 in the evening, and my wife hadn't had anything to eat. She had the kids fed, and we're like, what do you want to do at 8:30 on a Sunday night? And it was a toss-up between Habit Burger and In-N-Out, and she chose In-N-Out, so everyone was in their PJs except for me, and we hopped in the van, and we went through the In-N-Out drive-thru. It was great, and I had a double-double, and oh man, I know it's not NSNG, but like was previously said, after a 31-miler, you kind of really don't care so much. Everything tastes great, and I'll hop right back into it and eat right. But just to wrap up what the experience that I went through, man, it's an honor to be able to finish. I didn't think that I would finish and be able to get an official time, be considered an official finisher, because there's just too many times where it's not, I can't get an official time because I don't meet cutoff. And so at some point after the last aid station, I'm like, it's always sort of like, did I meet this? Because there were several cutoffs. After you do the first loop, everything else is a cutoff. Like, you get to an aid station, how am I doing? Like, do I still get to continue to go on? Kind of deal. So it was as stressful as it is to think that there are so many cutoffs, it was a motivator, to get to an aid station and they're like, okay, you made it, you have like 10 minutes before the cutoff, you have some time, you have a buffer, and you need to get to this next aid station by such and such o'clock. So, it was always keeping the other runners I was with mindful that, okay, we're chopping this last loop down into chunks based on aid station hops, and we're going to be as proficient as we possibly can under the conditions and of the trail and our bodies to get there. And I look at my clock, and when I would try to get to the next aid station, and they weren't hard cutoffs, but it was still kind of stressful. I was like, oh man, I'm like 4 minutes past the expected time, and I get over there, I'm like, what's the verdict? Do I get to continue to press on? They're like, yeah, you made it, congratulations. You're like, and they're like, good job, And then it's like, then I'm like, all right, cool. Do you need anything? Like, no, I just here top off my water bottle and I'm good. I except for some potato chips at one aid station, I didn't take anything off of the aid stations. I kept everything on me, and I talked about it earlier. The meat bars, the nuts, the nut butters, and coconut oil, and concentrated UCAN Superstarch in that one bottle. So every time they filled up that water bottle, it was getting more and more diluted. But from the get-go, it was pretty concentrated, and I would take a small sip, and I would use my Hydro Pack to add extra fluid in me. Oh, and can't forget, Pure Vitamin Club Ultra Salt, right? Had that with me. I was working on that. I lost my train of thought. But yeah, it was like each, just kind of getting aid station to aid station, being mindful and after that last aid station, because like you have 25 minutes to cover 2 miles to get to the finish, and okay, give me some more water, and then more of the aid station people are like, go, 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 and I'm like, start to feel like, oh my god, and I went, I had that spike of adrenaline, and it got me on my feet, and at that point, it's just road, right? And I was running, I was like, okay, I'm making, at this effort, and the terrain, and this grade, this is me flying, right? And then it kind of starts to kind of level off, and it starts to roll, like subtle ups and downs. I'm like, oh, good grief, It's like it's not even a big grade upwards, but at that point, it's like it's a mountain. Just sort of like have to just keep moving forward and use my poles to help push me forward until the next downgrade, and then I could kind of get more running in and digging of my poles. Oh man, and I swear that was the longest 2 miles. And yeah, man, it started out super wet, and there's a video someone shared on the Facebook page for the Ohlone 50k, and you see the crowd, and everyone's kind of in layers, and it's raining, and everyone starts off, and it's not like you hit a gun or a big old horn. Everyone just sort of like jogs on through, and at the very end, I'm like one of the last guys, like a big old smile on my face, I'm looking really dorky with my hood on over my hat, big old smile. You only see me for like a second. Right now, got that congestion. I mean, my neck's a bit sore, but my neck's been sore for a while. My arms are sore because of all the pole work. My toes are tender. I've got a couple toes more tender, two or three toes more tender than the others. I did stub the tip of my right foot on something pretty bad, and I'm like, oh, whatever. That's gonna be its own thing at some point, but you're just so kind of trashed, I don't know what it's like to be the guy in the front. I mean, the first place finishers, he was done. He was way done by the time I started my second loop. He was like all in fresh clothes. He was walking with a companion, and I'm like, hey! He's like, hey, enjoy your second loop, And it was like, the first loop was a mother, but the second loop was the same loop, but it was a beast. But man, the trails, it was incredible. I mean, when you get a chance to stop and look around, like, man, these hills, it's incredible. And all those cows, those fucking cows, man. Cows, if you're listening to this podcast, you know who you are. You know I love you. Just, man, all the shit you guys put on that trail. And the fact that you guys are just blocking the trail and I don't have the balls to kind of walk up to you because I know you're going to be pissed off at me. I mean, early on, I can run by you guys, but man, at some point, you're just looking straight at me. And I look over, and you have another buddy just looking straight at me. I'm like, fuck, I can't approach you guys. Not right now. And I'm even more exhausted than I was earlier. Yet, I had to circumvent and try to find some way all the way around, the long way around, do more climbing and shit, and make my own trail just to get back on course. I didn't appreciate that, guys. Yeah, I still got more processing to do, but I'll leave that here and probably regurgitate what I was already talking about, but in a more I don't know, or maybe this is it. I don't know, but I got to go. I got stuff to do. I got loogies to hawk. Thank you for listening. See you in a bit, or here, catch you in a bit. So there's this feeling of fatigue and soreness, pain, which is expected, but I'm able to function. I mean, I'm far from the days when I did my first marathon, the San Francisco Marathon in 2011, and I bonked and I was trashed all around, and you know I had like really poor mobility, you know, after and the days after. So, you know, middle of the night last night, I gladly went to bed. I knew that, you know, I can't mess around with having a glass of whiskey. I can't mess around with, you know, trying to just stay up and watch something on Prime Video or Netflix, any of that stuff. I knew that I just need to sleep and take advantage of that time for recovery, so that I'm being smart about my body. But sure enough, you know, several times in the middle of the night, I'm awake. I get up because my daughter, who's 5, right now she's at a point where if she needs to go potty, and she can like sit up and sort of complain, right? As like a 5-year-old can complain without having to use words. And what we've been able to figure out at this point in time is I need to go over to her and try to talk to her, you know. And I'm usually asking her, "Do you need to go pee?" And she nods yes. And so I take her to the potty, and she's literally, you know, more than half asleep, right? So I'm having to pick her up, and so last night that happened twice, and I don't think about it. I just do it as a parent, as a dad. I've had to do a lot of late night tending to kids, you know, over the years, because, you know, we have 3 kids. So, and you know, despite having been pretty worn out and beat up, you know, I pick her up, you know, and try to be mindful of things like watch my posture, be careful of my back, blah blah blah. And it was at that point that I noticed, like, wow, my knees sure are kind of sore. But it doesn't stop me, you know. I'm not like, oh, I can't do this, my knees hurt, or, you know, it's like, just do stuff, and the pain is just part of who I am at the moment. Happened twice in the middle of the night. So But here's the interesting thing. I just came from a Whole Foods, right? Bought a couple items. And got me a cup of coffee, too. And the thing is, I don't mind being sore and in pain, tender, and all that stuff. Because it somehow makes me feel several things. I don't know if it's several, maybe a couple things. One is, I feel alive, right? As beaten down and worn out as my body is, I feel alive. I feel like I've put myself through an experience where I'm living, right? And this is great. The other thing is, I'm not still out there, trudging through the trail and going through the mental challenges. I mean, early last night when I was in bed, I just remember I would close my eyes and try to get to sleep, and I would get, like, I don't know, at the very beginning parts of sleep, not deep sleep, but I would wake up right out of it and realize I was looking down at the trail, right? It's like, oh my God, the images of it is still implanted in my mind. And it's like, I don't want to be back out on the trail, physically or mentally. I don't want to be back on the trail. I just want to sort of just move on. But it's interesting how that is. So I feel alive, and with that said, the other thing why all of this pain is bearable and kind of enjoyable, and is because I got the job done this time around. I was able to start, I was able to finish. It feels like I was the last guy to start, I'm the last guy to finish. Got an official time, and it means a lot for me, this particular runner. It was my own race, it was my own thing, and had the pleasure and the privilege to be out on that trail and to have the time away from my family to to attempt it, and so I suspect that little by little more reflection and thoughts would pop in my head, and I may just get back on the mic and just talk about it. Yeah, pretty cool.
Thanks for listening to Ruel's Running Podcast with Ruel. If you like what you just heard, share it with your friends and your enemies. Also, be sure to check out the site over at ruelsrunning.com. This has been another Coffee with Heavy Cream production. Join us next time for another silly show of Ruel's Running Podcast.